Cincinnati was truly the queen city of the West, economically and culturally, especially economically.
It was the fifth or sixth largest city in the United States at that point. They felt that it was a vital river port, and whoever controlled that city controlled the Ohio River.
In 1850, Cincinnati became the transshipment point between Pittsburgh and New Orleans. So there's more steamboat traffic in Cincinnati in the 1850s than anywhere else along the river. Cincinnati was fifth in the nation in manufacturing and sixth in population.
It was a major industrial center, a major manufacturing center. They built many steamboats in Cincinnati, so it was a major river center as well.
Cincinnati was the jewel of the West as far as significance, and for it to have been captured by the Confederacy in the war would have been very difficult.
The Union Army understood how important it was at the very beginning of the Civil War to protect Cincinnati and northern Kentucky. They sent an engineer named Orlando Poe here in May of 1861, right after the war started, to begin to think about how to protect this area from invasion. In the fall of 1861, they sent a man named Charles Whittlesey, who was also an engineer. He designed a system of 16 fortifications on the Kentucky side and 2 in Cincinnati. He actually built the 2 in Cincinnati, one on Price Hill and one on Mount Adams, and he built 8 in northern Kentucky, including Fort Mitchell and Battery Hooper here at the James Ramage Civil War Museum. Colonel Whittlesey was here through the winter of 1861 to 1862, building his fortification system. The Union Army called him away in early 1862 before he could finish the 16 fortifications on the Kentucky side. When the Confederate Army invaded through Kentucky, took Frankfort, and debated whether to try to take Cincinnati, the Union Army knew that they had to do something to help bolster and to fortify the northern Kentucky system. They sent an engineer here named Major Simpson, and he came along with General Lew Wallace. Simpson spent the next several weeks hurriedly trying to dig rifle trenches and get enough cannon and get the system ready.
So the challenge was now for Lew Wallace to complete this line so that it looks impressive when the enemy arrives. So Lew Wallace arrived on September 1 at night. At midnight he had a meeting with the mayor of Cincinnati, Covington, and Newport, 3 mayors. He said, in the morning I'm going to declare martial law, I'm going to close business, and we're going to build this defensive line. On the morning of September 10, 9 days after all this work began, at sunrise, Lew Wallace at Fort Mitchell looked out across the parapet, and there were 8,000 Confederate soldiers, artillery, infantry, and cavalry. So he and Heath actually looked at each other through their field glasses. Heath climbed up on top of a house 1 mile south on Dixie Highway. One of General Wallace's officers said, let's shoot him. They could easily hit that house with their cannon because it was not that far away. And he said, no, I want him to see what we've prepared. And so he held his fire. Henry Heath skirmished with his pickets and rode back and forth for all day on September 10 with his men and the Union men under Wallace expecting any moment for a big fight to begin. It looked like it would be. And then he stayed there the night of September 10. He stayed there all day September 11. And in this skirmishing, 4 Union men were killed. 16 Confederates were captured and 2 Confederates were wounded. And Henry Heath sent a message back to Lexington to Kirby Smith, and we don't have the message, but I believe I know what it said. I believe he said that the enemy is organized in force in a strong defensive position on high ground on the hills south of Covington, Newport, and there are military roads and connecting the positions. There are pontoon bridges, and this. I am looking for an avenue, looking for an approach to attack. When Kirby Smith got that message, he sent a courier fast back to Heath and ordered him to withdraw and to not attack. After 2 days of looking at each other and tension, and Heath studying it, in the night of September 11, Henry Heath withdrew his men totally out of the area and went south. And Lew Wallace's men on this 8-mile defensive line looked out on that morning and saw they were gone. Somebody started singing the Union marching song, which is to the tune of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and it was John Brown's Body. The singing spread, and so they sang from Ludlow to Fort Thomas for 8 miles. They sang together. That was their victory song that morning, that they had won a battle without really fighting a battle. And that's the best victory there is, when you can win without losing a lot of men.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. But his soul goes marching on. The stars above in heaven are looking kindly down. The stars above in heaven are looking kindly down. The stars above in heaven are looking kindly down on the grave of old John Brown. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul goes marching on. He captured Harper's Ferry with his 19 men so true. He frightened old Virginia till she trembled through and through. They hanged him for a traitor, they themselves the traitor crew. His soul goes marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul goes marching on. Well, he's gone to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. He's gone to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. He's gone to be a soldier in the army of the Lord, but his soul goes marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul goes marching on. Mine eyes hath seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath is stored. He's loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah.